Let me turn to Ray Dalio. Ray, you built the largest hedge fund in the world, Bridgewater, and you're also, in your new career, also an author. You've written a number of New York Times best-selling books. In one of your recent books, you talked about 5 forces that are affecting the global economy. So can you succinctly tell us how these forces are going to move the economy forward the next couple of years or so, adversely or positively?
Yeah. As a global macro investor for the last 50 years, my job has been to bet on what is going to happen globally macro. And what I learned in my lifetime is that many of the things that surprised me happened because they didn't happen in my lifetime, but they happened many times in history, particularly in the 1930 to 45 period. So these 5 forces have always interacted. I think everything that we're going to talk about today will be related to those 5 forces, and they interact. And those 5 forces, of course, are the debt, money, interest rate, economy force. The second is the internal order or disorder force. In other words, the internal conflicts that we are having today and the debts that we are having today are the largest since the 1930 to 45 period. And the third great force, of course, is the international geopolitical force. 2 great powers that are rival powers. And then, of course, the fact that there isn't a single world order, there isn't a single world power. It's very different than in 1945 when the New World Order was created, because you have a war, a dominant power comes out, or dominant powers, and they set the rules, and everybody goes by the rules. Well, this is a very different world. And I discovered that the other 2 great big forces were acts of nature, which droughts, floods, and pandemics have killed more people than wars, and are certainly a dominant force at this time. And then the 5th great force has always been man's inventiveness and technologies. So we have these 5 forces interacting. So everything that we're going to talk about will be related to each one of those. And I think if we step back and we put each one of those in a historic perspective, say, how are their degrees of influence compared to those in history? The largest wealth gaps since the 1930 to 45 period. So those are the 5 forces. I think if we're looking at them and their evolution, it's like watching a movie play out over and over again if you have that historical perspective.